The Victor Wembanyama NBA era is upon us. Let's get into it. So Victor Wembanyama has finally made his long-awaited NBA debut, and it's kind of been a mixed bag. He came out in his debut against the Mavericks, kind of got some foul trouble. Some fouls were basically kind of his welcome to the NBA moment. A couple fouls were called that I didn't think should have been called. And then the Spurs have a monster comeback recently against San Antonio Spurs, where Wemby was a big part of that. He had 4 big blocks, hit some clutch threes, made some clutch baskets, and it's just kind of been a mixed bag. And I think the thing with Wemby, yes, I think it's early to tell that he is going to be great. The Spurs have a point guard problem, though. And what I mean by that is outside of Trey Jones, they really don't have anybody that's a good or even a willing passer. They're trying to mold Jeremy Sohan into this big point guard. And it's kind of, yes, it's early, but it's kind of not been going great. There's some easy passes that he just misses. And then you have someone like Trey Jones who's constantly looking to push the pace and run the floor and get the ball out quickly. And you can tell in the very few minutes that Pop does play Trey and Wemby during games that Wemby is getting easy looks. And one thing with Wemby, he's another one of those people, he's just got to learn to pass. There's some passes that he's trying to make that he can make before that you just can't make in the NBA. Kind of some lackadaisical, trying to throw him like one hand or trying to force it into someone that's got 2 guys near him. And that's just not going to work in the NBA, especially at a guy at his size. He will get there and is still young in his career, but Wemby is showing that he is the real deal. Now, not to sound like, an old head, kind of like Shaq and Charles on Inside the NBA, but Wemby does kind of get pushed out against guards way too much. Yes, he's still only 19 growing into his body, and he will add muscle and weight. But Wemby's just, at his size, he's got to command the block when he is down there on the couple of times a game that he is down there. There are just too many times where he's got a guard on him and he just gets pushed out. I understand Spurs are really reluctant to throw that pass like a lot of teams are, but you just got to throw it up to him. The guy is 7'4". It's either going to be he catches it or you're just going to throw the ball out of bounds. And that's not the worst thing, because then you can just get your defense set for the half-court offense for the opposing team. One thing that's apparent, though, is teams are reluctant to dribble, drive, and dribble create on Wemby when he is in the game. His 7'4" frame, teams just aren't going to want to challenge that. We kind of see that even with Rudy Gobert. Teams are kind of reluctant to challenge him at times. But it seems like with Wemby, teams are trying to just get a clean, open-look jump shot and not try to create into the paint. With Wemby's size, we fear this would be the case. But this early in his career, he's already shown to be a presence down low, and he's already becoming one of the league's premier shot blockers. Someone at his size should not have the offensive skill set that he has. Yes, that was talked about when he was over in France and during the draft process, but seeing it on the NBA court is just wild to see. Some guy his size to not be taking sidestep or step back threes and hitting them like Wemby does. Yes, Wemby is going to continue to grow as a shooter, and that is kind of scary to think about. There are times where he just misses some easy looks, but as he grows into the NBA and grows into his body, those looks will start to become automatic. The duo with him against KD was awesome to see. Wemby was a huge fan of Kevin Durant, looking at that was kind of his basketball idol, if you will, and Wemby admitted that after the game as well. There were 2 plays. KD dunked on Wemby, and then Wemby came back and yammed on Drew Eubanks. That was just kind of showing kind of like the fearlessness in Wemby. He's going to challenge every shot, and people might dunk on him, yes, but he's still going to challenge it. And I respect that out of shot blockers. Don't just try to get the shot block and avoid getting put on the poster, but challenge every shot. And Wemby did it. He got dunked on, and then right away went down and created his own highlight. He also had a play against the Suns where he tipped the ball to himself while getting fouled and then tipped the ball in for an and one. That's just something that you don't see, and a guy at his size can create and do that. I do hope for his sake, and here soon Pop does put Trey Jones into the starting lineup, because that would just help Wemby so much, get some clean, open looks. And the Spurs come back against the Suns. For a large portion, Wemby wasn't on the court because Pop went small and it was working. But that lineup included Trey Jones, who was pushing the pace, being a hound on defense, and getting his guys clean, open looks. The NBA's been really smart early in Wemby's career, though, putting him and the Mavericks against each other. Wemby, Luka, that's going to become a premier matchup. And then having him against the Suns on a Tuesday and a Thursday for both primetime national televised games. People, Wemby versus KD, it just makes sense with their body types. Yes, they're completely different players, but people kind of see the resemblance to 7-footers that are great offensively and good defensively as well. I've talked about on here before how I think KD's one of the more underrated defenders over his career, but more on Wemby. I like what the Spurs have done was bringing back Zach Collins. He's like their bruiser, their big guy, so Wemby doesn't have to face a 5 every night. It prevents Wemby from sustaining injuries long term while he's still growing into his body and adding muscle. But I think as Wemby's career goes on, you'll kind of see him take more of those matchups on. But I think for the majority of the time, Wemby's going to play that quote-unquote 4 spot instead of like your traditional 5-man guarding team's other 5, just because of his skill set. And him going to the Spurs really was perfect because can't imagine how many other teams would do this with Victor Wembanyama. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Let me know down in the comments, how has the Victor Wembanyama experience been for you so far?